All right, my friends, welcome to Trending. Today is Thursday, November 17th. It's about 9:15 this morning, and our friend Joe has a great wardrobe choice for today. Joe, do you want to explain what you've got going on over there?
Yeah, man. Green Bay's playing tonight. It's not every Thursday when Trending airs that the Green Bay Packers are playing that coveted Thursday night game on Amazon. So it's cold. It's Thursday. Packers are playing. There's really only one hat choice. You know what I mean? Only one.
It should be a good game tonight. So we'll see Packers and Titans. We'll see who comes out tonight. So I'll be rooting on your behalf for your Packers there, Joe.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
All right, man. So on Trending every week, what we do is we take the top stories, try to throw in our faith perspective wherever we can. There's obviously a lot of political stuff. We're not going to go there with people who are maybe running for president, maybe not. We're not going to go there. There's stuff going on in Poland and Ukraine. There's all kinds of just crazy stuff. But today I pulled two topics that they're different, but kind of similar. I just want your take on, Joe. So we do this all the time, but we try to throw our faith in wherever we can. Today, the topics, I kind of want to hear your take, Joe, from like a Christian leadership perspective.
Okay.
Like if you were involved in these two situations as a Christian leader, how would you handle these situations? Okay. I'm just curious what you would toss into the conversation here today. So first up today for our coffee drinker fans watching, today is Starbucks Red Cup Day.
Hey.
So I'm not in on this, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I think you're in on this a little bit, Joe. So every year Starbucks has like a special holiday cup, Christmas cup that they give away on a certain day, right? And I think it's one of, if not their busiest days of the year. People go bananas for these cups for some reason. I don't get it. But today is Starbucks Red Cup Day. And the news today is that thousands of the Starbucks workers are going on strike today. They've been in some kind of labor disputes with Starbucks HQ, trying to make some changes for like scheduling and so they have a couple of specific things that they're not very happy about. The employees aren't, and they formed this union. And so they're trying to work things out with headquarters. And so on one of the busiest days of the year, like thousands of them just are striking today.
Man.
So Joe, how do we handle that? Like, obviously we want to treat our employees well. There's a lot the Bible has to say about, masters and slaves. We kind of translate that, whether we should or not, into employees and employers. Obviously, we just want to be people who love and care on those who work for us, with us, whatever. It's a complicated situation, right? When you hear some of this like labor dispute type stuff, what if you were in Starbucks HQ today? What would be on top of your mind?
Yeah, I think I'd be panicking a little bit. I mean, there's probably a tension because obviously this is not good press. But at the end of the day, like thousands and I guess millions of customers are going to show up today. And so there's probably a push and a pull, particularly if you're just thinking about the bottom line, like, okay, business is still going to go on. There's this neat book called The Rebel Cell that I had to read in school. And the book kind of starts out, one of the first examples of how difficult it is for protest movements to gain any traction. I guess there was a big protest against Nike where some vandalism was done to some sort of a Nike store. And but if you zoom in on the footage of the vandalism, like these people are wearing Nike shoes, as they're doing the vandalism. So it's like, okay, this doesn't seem to be going very far. But anyways,
Right.
Yeah, I think it's tough because these are kind of complicated issues. I mean, people are looking for work. I feel like for what I've been able to just ascertain, that a job at Starbucks is a pretty good job. They do have a lot of benefits and stuff. I do believe that certain times of the year it has to be stressful for any retail companies too. And so, yeah, they obviously need to hear their workers out. Obviously, they need their workers in order to like conduct all their business and stuff. And so I do feel like it's an interesting tension. I guess to put myself more in the shoes of like, what if you're a store manager, right? And you need to kind of be an advocate for your people, but also you're part of the company, like the epitome of middle management, where you do have agency, but maybe not as much as you'd like to have or need. You do have some say, but you're just kind of one of many. And so, well, what do you do in those moments? How do you make it better? And that's where I think, like, I don't know, The Office is kind of a fun thing to think about, because You think about a paper outfit like Dunder Mifflin in Scranton, Pennsylvania, you
Hmm.
know, when the world is going from analog to digital, and they still found ways to carve out meaningful existence together. And so I guess I would attack it that way, if attack's the right word. If I was in leadership at the local level, I would just to try to get us in touch with our humanity, our shared experience together. My friend Noah Goza, as we talk about some of the complexities of work and life and being dads, he tells me this cool principle that he was working a construction job when he was younger. And whenever people start complaining about work and stuff, he would just shrug his shoulders and say, I don't know, man, I just work here and just continue working, you know?
Hmm.
And I think at some level you need to, you know, be an advocate for yourself and for others. At the end of the day, also sometimes it's good to continue to work hard and to try to alleviate the burdens of others as best you can, and to try to get through these tense and hard times. So I don't know, those are some of a few thoughts that kind of come up in my mind.
Yeah. It's a hard situation. I don't know the whole, all the ins and outs, but like you said, Starbucks has a reputation for being a pretty good place to work. Like compared to other similar jobs, like I think their benefits are probably pretty good compared to others. So I always, whenever I hear stuff like this, my knee jerk, I want to start with compassion, right? Like I don't work there. I'm sure it is hard, especially on the busiest day of the year.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of accounts of people asking for this day off and they, deny that request, and people are frustrated about that. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of having a job, right? Like you and I, we have to work a lot on days we don't necessarily want to work. So I always start with compassion. So I want to like hear, I'm sure it's really, really hard to be there. But on the other side, like you're saying, if you're on the management side, you need these people to be there to make your product, right? So it's a hard thing. All of
Yeah.
these things, there's a reason why they're hard, right? If there's a
Mhm.
simple solution, it wouldn't be a problem. They're complicated situations. We try to oversimplify them, but they're complicated. So.
Yeah, and I think issues of work are going to be peculiar for American life. I think when people look at our work pace, for people from other countries, I think they marvel at how much we glorify work and how much we give ourselves to our work. We exhaust ourselves. Our
Yeah.
work ethic is something that's praiseworthy, and it's scary at the same time. Just how not a lot of rest that we get and stuff. And so I think that we're continuing to see some sort of a revolution of work. I think people are
Mhm.
start working from home more. That trend's been going on. Shorter work weeks. I mean, a lot of those things have been helpful. There's still some, issues to work out. And so I do think that we're in the midst of an interesting revolution of what work even looks like, and what people and how they what it looks like to be a worker in an economy like ours. And so I guess we'll see. But it is an interesting turn that unions are making a comeback in some of these industries. We're seeing it, of course, the Amazon fights with unionization. And yeah,
Mhm.
some of these Starbucks stores are starting to do that. So I guess we'll see maybe in the next 2 or 3 years if this is a pervasive move within Starbucks and then now other industries because of that.
And especially for places like Starbucks that tend to hire younger people,
Mhm.
like I'm sure you know this more than I do, but there's all these stats and studies about Gen Z and what they're looking for in the workplace, right? Like you were just saying, and they almost require flexibility, and they're not necessarily as like corporate minded as previous generations have been. So as that continues, places like Starbucks are going to have to rethink how they do some of these things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
it'll be really interesting to see where it goes from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you gonna? I know that you're not a coffee drinker, but are you gonna go get like a sweet tea or something like that and get a red cup or what?
I've got enough cups. I don't need any more cups. Not worth the chaos, man.
Gotcha.
Do you get those cups? Is that a big deal to you?
I don't I mean it's not a huge deal. I used to go to Starbucks a whole lot more often. But I think in the pandemic, Ginger got me a really good home coffee maker. It was like the first one ever in my life where I could program it the night before.
Oh,
And it's
nice.
just waiting there at 4:30 in the morning. Glorious, carafe of decent coffee. And so I don't go as often, but I'm here for it. I'm a gold card member, have been for a long time. It is probably sad to imagine how much money I've spent at Starbucks. Yeah, it's probably a sad reality. But now that they've tied Delta Sky Miles to it, like that was kind of a
Mm,
recent thing that happened about a month ago. I'm here for it because I'm also stockpiling those Delta Sky Miles. Like
nice.
the ultimate would be like if Starbucks, Chipotle, and Delta, and then for just my sake, like Pure Hockey, like the place where we get a lot of our hockey stuff. Like if they all could figure out a way to get along,
Uh-huh.
They would probably get half my paycheck, half, probably something like that.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was on Parks and Rec where eventually there's like a huge corporation that owns like half of the world, and it's like Exxon, Chipotle, Target, or something like that. Like it's three brands that make no sense being together, but it's something like what you're describing. So
Yeah, man.
maybe we're headed that way. I don't know.
It's just Amazon.
It's true. Amazon. You're right.
And to be fair, they called their shot. I mean, they were saying from A to Z, in their logo, like
There
they
you
said
go.
from the beginning, this is what we're gonna do. So
It's true. Yep. All right, man. Well, the other story I wanted to hit on, we've talked about this before. It's in the news everywhere. Twitter is just going crazy right now. And so I wanted to bring one specific example that we can kind of chat about a little bit. So I don't know if you saw yesterday, one of the top trending topics on Twitter was RIP Jimmy Fallon.
yeah.
So like this rumor went around that Jimmy died, and of course he was fine. He quickly tweeted, Elon, can you fix this? Hashtag RIP Jimmy Fallon. And I mean, you and I are both big Jimmy fans. Like I love Jimmy Fallon. I watch him a lot, and I think he's a great guy. And he's not one to like, I don't think he was necessarily angry, but like I would have expected him to kind of play with this a little bit. But his tweet was actually like, hey, can you take care of this? This is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then Elon tweeted back, wait a second, how do we know you're not an alien body snatcher pretending to be Jimmy? Say something that only the real Jimmy would say. And so Elon's clearly playful about it, and he's kind of going back and forth with him, which on one hand, like, okay, that's fine. It kind of snowballed from there, and people were making jokes that it was Seth Meyers starting these rumors so that he can take the Tonight Show. So on one hand, it's like fun, and I kind of, I get it. It's fun. But on the other hand, like the world is joking about someone dying, right? And it's someone that a lot of us like a whole lot. And it just feels kind of weird for a platform like Twitter to not stop this from happening, right? Obviously, they have control. If they wanted to shut that down, they easily could, but they let it through. So obviously, part of the mess of this is the whole free speech thing. Elon's a big fan of free speech. And so the trending topics are supposed to be literally what's trending. And so you can make the argument that if he goes in the algorithm and alters what's trending, he's not allowing for exact free speech. So it's messy. But at the same time, when we're joking about people dying, that's also obviously pretty dicey. So again, take off your Packers silly hat, put on your Christian leader hat. What would you do with Twitter right now, Joe?
I think I don't know. Twitter's in an interesting position. I think that we've always considered Twitter to be helpful and maybe not so helpful at the same time. There's some good things about it. One of the things that I have appreciated about Twitter is somebody said it this way, like you don't have to go looking for news, like news comes to you in Twitter, right? Because you could just follow all the news outlets. They are constantly tweeting. And so you can just open it up, look at your timeline, get caught up, and then get moving. You don't have to wait till like 5:30 or 6 in the evening. You don't have to log on to your favorite news outlets main page. But then, conspiracy stuff, deep fakes happen. Really nasty things have happened on Twitter. And so, of course, they try to rein that in. Elon Musk got a different vision of that. But every single social media outlet has rules that they want people to play by. I mean, they tout like they're going to be the true, open market of ideas, the city square where everyone can say whatever they want. But then there's always some fine print. Well, maybe not that, and then maybe not that, and maybe not that. I think Twitter's under some renegotiation. Boy, it sounds like they're firing people left and right. Who knows if it's going to survive? I don't think it's on live support. But I think if I was on there, you just need to make a choice. Do you want to stick it out through the weird stuff, or do you want to go ahead and bail and kind of reestablish yourself another platform? You kind of see this almost in a parallel universe with some of our denominational fights in the Christian world. Where certain leaders of a certain denomination will just leave them out and leave it in the vagueness for now. But they have that same question, like, do we go form a new denomination where there's not going to be all this antagonism, or do we stay and be committed? And you have people doing either or. And so I think there's an argument to stay. I think there's an argument to leave. I think it's a similar thing that happens in the Old Testament. I mean, the people of God are carried off into Babylon. And on the one hand, you got some people who don't want to be there and they can't wait to go home. They've been drained of hope because they're not in their homeland. near the temple, with the priesthood and with, a king from the line of David. Like they're like, how can we be Israel without these things? Then you have like this minority report from the prophet Jeremiah, who says, no, like settle down, build homes, marry off your kids, have
Mhm.
grandkids, bless the city that God has carried off into exile. And so like, I think you have like these alternating opinions in every single scenario. And so I just think it takes wisdom. I think you got scripture evidence on both sides for staying or going in any type of framework. And so then you just have to ask the subtle voice of the Holy Spirit, what should we do next? What does faithfulness look like? And it may not be totally clear. And so then we take the wager, live by the fruit of the Spirit, and
Mhm.
see if we can't plot some goodness in the midst of all the uncertainty and maybe some of the stinky stuff, you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. And I'm curious, man. It seems to me like Twitter might be on its last days. Like, I feel like it's either going to die off or something, another big shift is going to happen where I'm sure you've seen like all these, fake verified accounts. I saw one where it was a fake LeBron account and he was tweeting that he was leaving LA and people went berserk about it. There's a fake Pepsi account, but it looked legit and it was verified and it said Coke is better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and all these brands, like they're hurting their brand, right? By all these fake accounts that are popping up. Have you heard about Blue Sky, Joe? Have you heard about that
No,
yet? So
no.
it's a new thing that Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter, he's working on. And I'm a little hazy on the details, but what I understand is it's a new social network where you get to choose your algorithm. So instead of Facebook or Twitter or Instagram just throwing random stuff at you, you can say, no, I want to see stuff from my friends and then this brand and nothing political. Or like I want only news and then show me my family stuff or what. So that's kind of the hook is you get to log in and choose your algorithm. So that sounds interesting. Like I'm curious to see where that goes. If that works, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter probably will just steal it and do something similar.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we're on the verge of something shaking up, whether it's, something dying or something new starting, but it does seem like Twitter is just a big mess right now.
We'll see what happens. I don't know how many of our Ridge Pointers tweet. I mean, who knows?
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it was a thing and then it wasn't a thing. Um, I barely log on. Like it's just like I think every now and again looking for a news story. Really
Mhm.
like it's when I'm doing fantasy sports, like seeing who's in the starting lineup or not. Like that's all I
Yeah.
really ever do
Yeah.
because like it's just not as I guess needed. But I'm not a journalist, and I think like journalists make their hay on
Mhm.
a place like Twitter. Burgeoning artists or writers, they put their stuff out there. And so I think that there is a space for it. And some
Mhm.
people like it's their livelihood. And so they want to be they're like committed. They'll turn out the lights as the last one,
Mhm.
type of a thing. But I don't know, man. I just think it goes back to the nature of discourse, just going back to the blue sky thing. I think we have to make a choice. Like if we want something tailored to our likes, to where it doesn't take a lot of effort, we're
Mhm.
probably going to miss out on stuff, and we may not be challenged.
Mhm.
But if we get into the fray, we'll probably hear a lot more, be aware of a lot more, and we'll have to just learn not to be triggered and get angry at stuff. Like we have to learn like patience.
Yeah.
And I don't know. As Lynn Sweet says, do not like kind of use a Jesusism. Don't tweet as the world does, but still tweet. I mean, like, just go do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
But try not to fall into the pattern of what might be common in a kind of wild, wild west now of a
Yeah.
social media outlet. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
You mentioned earlier, Joe, the fruit of the spirit. I think we talked, was it last week or a couple weeks ago, how we generally just come back to be kind. Like whatever's going on in the news, just be kind. It's generally going to work out pretty well. But I like your fruit of the spirit thing because I think that's one of those things where the world will be complicated. If you're a leader, you're going to be put in difficult situations like these where there's not a clear right answer. But I think, leaning on those things is what we need to be, a good Christ follower in the crazy world that we're in. So I think I kind of picked that away from what you were saying, Joe, because I think whatever's going on around us, that's a good reminder for us to hang on to. So,
Yep. Yep.
all right. Well, like I said, there's a lot else going on in the news in the world today, but I think we'll kind of start to wrap it up there. Any kind of final thoughts, Joe?
And there's just as a programming note, I mean, it's Thanksgiving next week. And
Yeah.
so I'm reckoning that we're not going to have a trending unless we decide, you know what, let's just squeeze one in before the food consumption of football happens. So may not have one next week, but I don't know. Who knows? We might. I don't know. I miss last year we did like our Thanksgiving feast, you know.
Yeah.
That was a
Our
good time. The Hungry Man.
TV dinners, man.
Yeah. Did we do warm Dr. Pepper during that one? Is that
Oh
what it was?
yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I think you're right.
So I don't think, but like now we're getting close to December. And if you remember our December episodes, boy, were they good. It was like the bold predictions, our Nostradamus episode,
Yep.
and our 5 favorite things. So like we've got some stuff coming up. So we may miss next week. But December is going to be lit. Or snaps. What is it? What do the kids say these days?
I don't know. I can't keep up, man. I can't keep up. I'm getting old. I will hit it for Ridgepoint people. It's the big offering this week too. I'm really excited about that. We've got some really great people that we're excited to help give some money away to this year. Come hear about Care Portal. I'm excited about Care Portal, Joe. I know that's something that you've been working on. So we've got 3 really great ministries that we're excited to partner with. So if you're around this weekend, join us in person or online. I'd love to have you and share more about that. So,
Yep.
okay, we'll have a great week. Hope to see you Sunday. And then if we don't see you next week, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. See you next time.
Go Packers.
Go Pack. Go.